Another aspect to weigh in upon when judging the success that each of these legends have found is how much help they've had during their whole career. MJ and Bron didn't each win championships by themselves. It took a whole team effort and organization to do so. And both of these players have played with extraordinary talent throughout their career. In terms of all-star teammates in their career, LeBron has played with Mo Williams in 2009, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh 4 straight seasons, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love twice, and Anthony Davis twice, adding up to a total of 15 all-star teammates. Michael Jordan, on the other hand, has played with a lot less all-star teammates, only playing with Scottie Pippen, who was an all-star 6 times with the Bulls while Mike was on the team. But it's kind of unfair to LeBron because, as we know, he's played 6 more seasons in the NBA. LeBron on average has played with 0.75 All-Stars a season, while MJ has only played with 0.4. But let's take this a step higher and look at all NBA teammates. LeBron James throughout his career has played with Dwayne Wade, who qualified from 2011 to 2013. He had Kyrie in 2015 and Anthony Davis in 2020, totaling at 5 All-NBA teammates. Surprisingly, Michael Jordan actually beats him out here, having Scottie Pippen for 6 seasons of qualification. Another thing to mention is the coaching that each player had. Jordan, although he dealt with a few bad coaches in his early days, had Phil Jackson behind him through his prime, known as pretty much the greatest coach of all time. And do you know who LeBron had? He had a total of 8 head coaches during his career, and besides Eric Spoelstra with the Heat and Tyronn Lue with the Cavs, 6 of these coaches have been fired while LeBron was there. LeBron hasn't had the luxury of consistent high-level coaching that MJ had. But I think this help debate goes a little deeper than just all-stars, all-NBA selections, and even coaching. Michael Jordan and LeBron James have both been a part of some of the greatest assembled teams in NBA history, and both have also been the motor of every single one of those teams. Right here, we have a chart that shows the amount of team wins each player's teams have gotten. MJ in red and LeBron in blue. Both have had their ups and downs in terms of their team success, but I think it's clear that MJ has had better teams in the prime of his career. The 90s Bulls were just a thing of beauty, but let's add in another variable to this equation: win shares, the amount of wins each player contributed per season. This chart shows that MJ had slightly more win shares than LeBron. He contributed to his team slightly more than him. If you subtract this difference of individual win shares from team wins, you would find the amount of wins each team had without their star player. MJ, during the beginning of his career, was absolutely bearing the load of this dogshit team, if we're going to be real. It wasn't until later in his career where he got a talented team around him and was able to take his foot off the gas a little bit. He allowed his team to contribute more. LeBron, on the other hand, throughout a good portion of his career, has had to play hero ball almost every year to keep his team alive, besides 2012 right here, where the Heat had 66 wins. He's had to shoulder the load. Without him, many of these Cavs, Heat, and Lakers teams would have been average at best. But I think this really proves the floor raiser versus ceiling raiser debate. LeBron has the unique ability that we've pretty much seen from no one else in NBA history, of being able to come into a franchise and instantly make them a championship contender, even favorites right away. He did it in Cleveland at first, then he did it in Miami, then back in Cleveland again, and finally in LA. LeBron here would classify as a floor raiser. MJ, on the other hand, would be classified as a ceiling raiser. When MJ was drafted into the league, throughout almost all of the 80s, the Jordan Bulls were first-round exits or conference semifinals at the best. MJ was never able to drag a team of nobodies to the finals like Bron could. But what really brings out MJ's greatness was when he had a well-constructed team around him that was willing to buy into the system. And the rest is history. MJ's ability to turn an already solid squad into a championship favorite is what makes him so special. Now remember this chart, the team wins versus win shares thing? If we divided the win shares by team wins, we would get what I like to call individual contributions of each player. And it looks a little something like this. As you can see, Michael Jordan was absolutely putting the Bulls on his back in the 80s, contributing more than 40% to the team wins. Again, it wasn't until he actually got some help around him where he took a step back, but he was still giving his team a ton. For context, the average NBA player would contribute about 7% with around 41 team wins and 2.5 win shares, and the average star player in the league would contribute about 20% with around 50 wins and 10 win shares. LeBron has been consistently shouldering the load of his teams, but I think it's safe to say that MJ would win this graph. To really conclude this help debate, LeBron has had way more firepower throughout his career, playing with some out-of-this-world talent like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and AD. But sometimes firepower isn't always the answer. Sometimes all that firepower isn't even necessary. Sometimes all you need is a well-organized, well-coordinated team that plays within their roles and buys into a winning system of basketball. If you're interested in watching more about this topic, go click on the full-length video linked right here.